calmer, calmer. And when this happens, more and more calm, more and more stability. That means mind will not quickly, wander into the past or into the future or into any other activity in the present, some kind of creative activity, thinking and measuring or writing. All kinds of things can happen even in the present, as though you are doing those things. So now all those will subside if your mind becomes calm. And calmer, it becomes stabler. Stabler the mind, more concentrated the mind. More concentrated the mind, more powerful the mind. More powerful the mind, then you have complete mastery over the mind. That is the goal, that is the purpose for which you practice meditation. To have, first of all, calm it down. Samatha means calming down meditation. Buddhist meditations are of two kinds. One, just calm down the mind. There are ever so many ways of doing that, and they are known as kammatthana. That means workplace. When you are working with your mind, it's like a workshop. You have turned the mind into a workshop where you are fashioning something, crafting something, consciously and deliberately. It's a very creative activity. Meditation can be supremely creative indeed, if you only know how to turn it that way. So, this creative activity of mind, you see, enables you to fashion more and more control. First of all, control over how you think. If you are thinking something unwholesome, because you remember something of the past, or of the future, or of the present, some activity that you are handling mentally, if some wrong thoughts arise, immediately you must have the power, have the mastery and the capacity to put it down. And to be able to put it down, you must know that it is unwholesome. And that knowledge that it is unwholesome is called panya, wisdom, or penetrating understanding. Clearer and clearer understanding of what is occurring inside you. Once this happens, this penetrative insight it is called. Insight means penetrating into the mind, knowing the mind fully, clearly, as it really is. Not as it appears to be, no. As it appears can be very delusive. And it is delusive indeed. So now, as you do that, see, by handling the feeling appropriately, at the appropriate stage, how you can lift the mind progressively from an ordinary state of consciousness where it is capable of going all over. You remember things based on what you saw, based on what you heard, or some sound, based on what you smelled, some fragrance or smell or something, based on some taste of food, etc., based on body touch. All sensory or sensuous experience, they occur in the mind again and again and again and torture the mind. So all these, the five bodily sense bases or faculties, they are again repeated in the mind base, manindriyam, in that. And once they are repeated, then you replicate them over there. There is no end. Other than all kinds of things can happen indeed. The mind can be totally in disarray, out of control. So when you know that nothing happens without a feeling, all these visible objects through all these five bodily sense bases, as well as the mind base, the mental image, all these are, you see, they give rise to feeling. And feeling is something very, very specific. Either at the bodily level it's a sensation, you sense it. Now we just tried out now in this exercise that I said, okay, you close your eye, look at the Buddha, and then open the eyes and look at the Buddha. Immediately there will be some sensation of that visible object called Buddha image. And that sensation may be all kinds of things, very wonderful things, wonderful feelings. The sensation may grow into a very, very uplifting emotional feeling of devotion, of reverence, of rapture, happiness. All kinds of feelings may arise from that. And then mental activity, it may also trigger mental activity. You will think about the qualities of the Buddha. You will say, well, Buddha is not sitting in that image after all. That image is only a symbol of the qualities of the Buddha, of the excellences, the spiritual excellences of the Buddha. All those excellences are something that we can cultivate. Now, for instance, you think of Buddha as Arahant. Itipiso Bhagava Arahant. Indeed, that blessed one is the perfect one, the Arahant. And how is he perfect? Because he has conquered over all the enemies. Arinang hanta iti arahang. Ari means enemy. Who are those enemies? They are not outside your body or outside your mind. They are right inside your mind. Every time there is greed, every time there is some kind of lust or passion, the mind is defiled. So Buddha has totally eradicated that once for all, totally uprooted every form or every trace of lobha, greed, lust, sensuality, craving, attachment. These are the qualities. All those have been totally vanished. They are maras. These mental states are also called mara, the destroyer. Don't they destroy? You know that very well. If your mind is overcome by these unwholesome, evil mental states, you pay a price, a very heavy price indeed, for allowing such a state to arise in the mind. And if you have no control over them, well, woe be to you. It is because you have not trained your mind in such a way, or you have failed to train your mind in such a way that you can have control over greed, over lobha. After all, spiritual life is not just external practices of this, that and all that sort of thing. this ceremony, that kind of ritual. No, those things are nothing. Spirituality, ultimately spiritually means, you see, you conquer your mental defilements. That is spirituality. Starting with lobha, greed, then hatred. Hatred is a very vast emotional, range. It has tremendous range. Anger, jealousy, meanness, not sharing with others, or grudge, malice. All these are the different shades of dosa, of hatred, enmity, all that sort of thing. Now, they are tremendous enemies indeed. It is because of these enemies that the mind is again and again subject to commit all kinds of karmas, and by committing all kinds of karmas, you automatically are reborn to experience the results of the karmas that you have committed. It is not a question of any God who is, sending you to a world or creating you and all that sort of thing. No. You create yourself with your own actions, your conduct. And that begins with this mind. So there are 10 such aris or enemies. They are known as kilesas. A person who has totally vanquished and destroyed them, uprooted them, is an enlightened being. And Buddha is the supremest of all enlightened beings. Now if you think of Buddha in those terms, what kind of feeling will arise in your mind? Just imagine. Most sublime feelings of gratitude that you are privileged to undertake refuge in the Buddha and be guided by the Buddha. The Buddha is not just gone, he is very much alive in his Dhamma, in his spiritual body. So this practice of meditation is Dhamma. Every time you are practicing the meditation and overcoming thoughts of lust and passion and anger and egotism, every time the Buddha is right in your heart. It is the light of the Buddha that is enabling you to overcome all these enemies. So Buddha is not so much in the image, but the image reminds you of the Buddha. So you pay homage to the image out of gratitude for the Buddha. So it is not a ritualism. So today we leave it at this. We'll continue with this. We will combine our discourses with little exercises. It will be with a bit of practical exercise so that we know how to spiritualize our mind and thereby spiritualize our life. May the grace of Bhagavan Buddha surround your life with wisdom and happiness. May you all be happy. Sukhino bhavantu.